Hello again, and welcome back to another episode of Malone Bailey's official podcast, Everybody Counts. I'm Raven Fournier, the Public Relations Coordinator here at Malone Bailey. Our podcast, Everybody Counts, features various perspectives on a variety of topics, from the latest SEC and FASB updates to discussions on firm culture and practice management topics. Everybody Counts explores trends and hot topics that affect us and those in our business. Tune in to hear from partners and staff alike. The conversation is versatile and everybody's input counts. Joining us today on our podcast is one of Malone Bailey's Audit Seniors, Aaron Alanis, to discuss making the transition from school to the workplace and how to best get through that transition. So welcome, Aaron.
Hi, Raven. Thanks for having me as a guest today. I'm excited to be here to talk about today's topic.
Well, we're glad to have you here as well, Aaron. Before we get started, why don't we have you give us a little bit of your background?
Sure. I'm an audit senior here at Malone Bailey. I joined the firm in 2014 after graduating from the University of Texas at Austin, Hook'em, and originally from San Antonio.
Nice. So you're not too far from home. Not too bad. So Aaron, since you recently graduated and started working in the professional world, you're probably one of the best people for us to speak with about this topic. What I'd like to discuss today is what those who might be graduating soon or are fresh out of college, what they can do to be successful in transitioning from college to the professional world. You've recently been through this and come out on the other side, so hopefully you can speak from your own experience. Let's start with some of the challenges new professionals may encounter when starting at a new job.
Well, I think there are a few challenges. First, new grads are used to a very different schedule, They might have classes throughout the whole day, a job in between classes, and possibly an internship. Some might struggle with being in an office environment all day. While multitasking is definitely something we could do in the workplace, it's a different type of multitasking than in college. It's not getting from one place to another while listening to your headphones or iPod, or studying for an exam while listening to your professor's lecture, but multitasking between work assignments. This can be said of any job industry you go into, really. Another new skill is to learn to work with multiple teams and prioritizing tasks. In school, you have different teachers for your different classes that expect their assignments due on time. This isn't so different from the workplace, except work is all in one setting and a bit more intense. When recent grads step up in the workplace, it's sometimes hard for them to really learn time management because they are being given all new tasks in a new environment. They aren't sure how long it's going to take them to do things, which can lead to them taking on too much. This isn't something you won't get right away. It takes time to learn how to work with your different managers and learn each other partners' preferences in each engagement.
So schedule is a really big issue kind of when transitioning. Your schedule is a little bit, not probably a little bit, it's going to be a little bit more different than what you're used to in college. So let's start with the difference in schedules. What things can new grads do to prepare themselves for this new type of schedule they'll be on? What did you do when you were going through this?
Sure. As I mentioned earlier, working 9 hours a day takes some time getting used to. That first full week of work can be exhausting if you're not used to it. For those new grads, I would encourage them to set healthy work habits early on to help this transition go smoothly. Things like getting into the rhythm of getting enough sleep, eating well, and utilizing your free time for a great work-life balance. What I like about MB is that in the first week, there are different events to help you feel comfortable in this new environment and start meeting everyone you're scheduled to work with.
So did you feel those events in that first week kind of really did push you to meet all these new people, not only the new people who were new with you, but others in the firm?
Yeah, it really did. It give you time to kind of open up to your workmates and, them get to know you, you get to know them. Yeah. So you start getting more comfortable with those new people.
Right. Well, that sounds like a good way to ease into that. So what about time management? I know that's a big thing for students. You have to practice your time management when you get to or when you're in college, but your time management is, again, going to be a little bit different when you get to the professional world. So what did you do for that?
Well, in college, there's a certain amount of time management. Let's say, scheduling your time between different assignments, studying for tests, if you have work, and your personal life. However, professionally, it's a different ball game. I would say one of the best things I did to stay ahead of this was to be realistic of how long it would take me to do something. Also, when getting assigned a task, I would always make sure to know the due date. When is this due? This way you can prioritize all the things you need to do. Another key thing is to keep in mind is to always communicate with your supervisors. Communication is key. And I think one of our partners actually told me that once. Give them updates where you are in the project and keep them in the loop. This will help the team work more efficiently as a whole so they can project when things will be finished.
And I should point out that Aaron's probably really good at time management because he managed to go through busy season as well as train for the MS 150, which is a cycle ride from Houston to Austin. Is that correct?
Yep. It's a 2-day event.
So you had to practice for that and go through your busy season. So kudos to you. And what about professionalism and communication in the workplace? That's something I think that people maybe don't think of. They think, oh, well, I know how to communicate with people or email, but how is that different from the way you communicate and, present yourself in college than it is to the workplace?
Okay. Well, it's something that after working for a good amount of time, it comes naturally. But as a new grad, you don't really know how to get into that. So let's say etiquette and social norms in the workplace are different than in college. Professionalism in the workplace includes how you dress, how you communicate with your coworkers, and your character. There are some things in our business schools that try to prep the grads on, but it's a different feel when you're actually applying it in the real world. Things like always being late to meetings or constantly being on your phone are seen as unprofessional, but in college, it's not really a big deal. Being professional is even more important if you work in any sort of client-facing role. And our personal skills can also include professionalism, learning to truly listen to other people and not just listening to respond. Communicating effectively is also included in there. Learning to be assertive. All these things that a new grad should pretty much take away. Your first few years of working are so critical. It dictates your habits in the workplace and then on. In the 3 years that I've been out of college, I've learned so much. Not just how to do my job, but how to interact with my coworkers and the clients in a professional setting. New grads should always be as a sponge, in the first few years to soak everything up.
So, and real quick, I want to point out, when you're communicating with clients, is that something you were nervous about at first and kind of not sure how to handle yourself?
Sure. It was pretty funny because it came to a point when the seniors would tell you, hey, I need you to contact the client. I need you to give them a call. And I was like, me? Give them a call? I don't know. And it wasn't until my second and third conversation over the phone, it was very fluid.
Right. And you learn kind of how to present, you're presenting the company when you speak with these clients. So you kind of learn to, be respectful and speak with them in a professional manner.
Sure. Yeah. Because in the business school, they try to teach you these things prior. Right. And it isn't until you're actually doing it and then you're like, wow, well, this is actually really important because, we're a service organization. We serve the client, so there's a lot of client interaction. And when it comes to communication, you have to do it effectively and in a personal way.
Right, definitely. Well, do you have any last advice for those either who have recently graduated and looking to go into the professional world or those who will soon be leaving college to go into the professional world? What can you offer them, to maybe help make that transition a little easier for them?
I would say be prepared for the unexpected and be open to new experiences. Graduating college and getting your first job is just a very exciting time in your life. Sure, it can be a little nerve-wracking, but it's something we all go through and everybody understands. We've all been there. No one will expect you to know everything your first day. Ask the questions, make your to-do list, and, give it your all. And I'm sure if you do those things, you'll be okay.
Yeah. Well, I think that's great advice, Aaron. So last question before we wrap up, we're going to transition over to the last segment of our podcast where we ask you a this or that question. And we'll ask you 3 of them, and you just kind of rapid fire with your first answer that comes to mind. So we'll get started with the first one. So do you prefer soccer or football?
That's a toughie, but football.
I would have really taken you for a soccer person. Who's your favorite football team?
The Miami Dolphins.
Nice.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's also an interesting one. I wouldn't have pegged you for that. Okay, so next one, breakfast or dinner?
I would say the most important meal of the day.
So breakfast. Do you usually eat like savory foods or sweet foods for breakfast?
Ooh, no, savory.
Savory?
Yeah.
See, I'm more of a sweet person for breakfast. And then last question, do you prefer warm weather or cold weather? Like location. So, when you're thinking about going on vacation.
Yeah, I would say warm.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather be sitting in a beach than, laying out in the snow making snow angels. I don't know. The beach just attracts me more than
You don't have to shovel snow at the beach.
That's true.
Okay, well, those are all great answers. Thank you again for the insightful information today. We've really enjoyed having you on the podcast today.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
And hopefully our listeners out there learned a little bit more about making that transition from college to the professional world, whether you've been there and done that already, or you know somebody going into that transition soon, or you yourself will be going through that transition soon. We appreciate you listening and invite you to check out our website at www.malonebailey.com for more information about public company audit services, as well as some other useful information and resources. Thanks again, and we will see you next time.